What's up, guys? My name is Nick, and welcome back to the channel. And it's been a minute since I've done a movie review outside of like a short form kind of content review, either here in the shorts section on YouTube or on TikTok. So it's awesome to be back here in a more longer form way talking to you guys about, honestly, my favorite art of all time, and that's film. Now, the question may be burning in your head right now, like, Nick, why didn't you make like a long form review for Sinners? Why are you doing it for The Weeknd's movie? And honestly, that's a fair question because, to be honest, I mean, I did love and like Sinners a whole hell of a lot more than I did Hurry Up Tomorrow, spoiler alert. Honestly, I felt like I couldn't add anything to the conversation for Sinners specifically that a lot of my fellow peers of critics and reviewers, whatever you want to call us, have like already hit. Especially in terms of like the musical aspects of it. I felt like I would have been more productive towards that specifically if I maybe covered music from the film on my trumpet. But that's neither here nor there. We're talking about The Weeknd's new film, or I guess his only film, because he's never done a film before, right? Before this. Hurry Up Tomorrow, which is written and directed by Trey Edward Schultz along with The Weeknd, and I believe there's a third writer. I could be wrong. But the film pretty much follows The Weeknd. Yeah, he literally plays himself. He plays Abel Tesfaye, if that's how you say his last name. The Weeknd. They literally call him The Weeknd. You hear his music in the film. You hear songs like Blinding Lights and Gasoline, which was a bit of a surprise. I mean, I knew they were going to call him Abel in the film from the trailer, but I thought he was going to be playing like some other kind of pop figure, and it was going to be almost like a retelling of the Stephen King story Misery, but instead of like an author being the one being taken advantage of and like held captive, it would be an artist. The Weeknd, it would be like a pop singer. Once the film started and by the time it wrapped up, and that was not at all what I got, I was incredibly perplexed. I didn't really know how to feel at first, but after sitting on it for about a day now, I honestly think I really loved this film, guys. Before you go into it, like, don't go into it with the expectations that I had. Just thankfully, I've gone into movies enough with expectations like that, and I've been surprised enough to where I feel like I'm almost conditioned to not let whatever my idea was of that movie really affect the experience that I'm actually given. Whereas I think a lot of modern audience members, especially people that are going to see this movie, are going to have an idea in their head of what it's going to be. And when it's not that, when it's really this more David Lynchian surreal experience, this character odyssey through this person's mind rather than actual physical things that's actually genuinely happening to them, it's very hyper-realized. It's almost fantasy. I don't know, maybe diehard Weeknd fans knew that that's what this was going to be. I would not consider myself a diehard Weeknd fan. Am I a fan? Yeah. If I was offered tickets to go see him tomorrow, would I go? Yeah, for sure. But he's also not an artist that I would seek out on my own. Like, he's not an artist that I'm, when he drops an album, I'm not there day one listening to it. So with all that said, I kind of definitely want to say that this is not by any means a self-indulgent Weeknd film. Like, it's not just a commercial for an artist's music, which is great. I mean, that's the opposite of what we want. We don't want to go and see Trap again. Like, we don't want an entire commercial for a artist's career that is genuinely not even that great of an artist. For one, if you guys haven't seen Trap, you should skip it and never watch it. To me, for something to be self-indulgent, it needs to reflect positively on you, and it needs to, I guess, want to encourage other people to want to seek you out or want to look up to you and stuff like that. It's very self-indulgent, right? This movie is very scathing towards The Weeknd. It's actually more like we're watching him go to therapy for a few hours. And it's very personal, which is very interesting coming from who is honestly probably the biggest artist that we have right now besides someone like a Taylor Swift. It was interesting to see the mental health of a person explored in this very surreal, hypnotic way, for one, but the fact that it was the psyche and the mental health of a pop star, let alone like the most popular pop star at the time, it was very interesting, and the way that they did it through this idea of insomnia and this drug-induced kind of trance. It was really interesting. I would agree that the filmmaking itself gets to a point of maybe being a bit self-indulgent. I don't think the stuff about The Weeknd or any of the writing for that is self-indulgent, but I think maybe some of how, like, some of the elongated sequences with flashing lights or the spinning camera to try to get that nauseating, hypnotic kind of feel. We're trying to really step into the shoes of how Abel is feeling in that moment, and it definitely works. But I was I was dead ass, like, almost throwing up in my seat. It was nauseating. There's a sequence that's at least, like, 3 to 4 minutes, if not 5 minutes, and it is nothing but flashing lights and the camera spinning, and it was really nauseating, and I was like, Trey, I was thinking in my head the entire time, like, Trey, come on, man, I get what you're trying to do here, please, I don't want to throw up, I don't want to have to leave. My only big complaint is that I think some of the filmmaking could have been a bit more refined. It could have been a bit more trimmed down, and it could have been a bit of a tighter package in terms of how everything was presented. I think the ideas thematically and what they were trying to deconstruct with mental health and all that was very interesting, and it was very well done, and it was very thought-provoking in the way that they did it. It was very, honestly, unique. And the filmmaking definitely matched that for the most part, but like I said, especially at the beginning, the film really does feel like it struggles to find its footing, both within its sense of how it wants to present this character and of how it wants to present the story to us in a visual sense. Once it locks in and it finds out where it wants to go and what it wants to be, it really sails, and it really, really works. I saw the film with my dad, who kind of had a opposite experience with me. There were things about it that he did really like. He's the guy that I go and see movies with all the time, so he is honestly well-versed within any genre, whether it's horror, whether it's indie films, whether it's tentpole blockbusters. He sees literally everything with me, but he definitely had a lot of positives to say in terms of what they were saying about the mental health struggles and stuff like that, but he definitely found the filmmaking in particular very self-indulgent, and it really took him out of the experience as a whole. So I'm kind of wondering if that's going to be the case too for people. Like, I wonder if this would have worked better as a short film, maybe something that wasn't as elongated to an hour and 50-minute film like this is. I personally really enjoyed it. I will eat up Trey Edward Schultz's visual style any day of the week. If you haven't seen Waves, if you haven't seen It Comes at Night, Waves is my favorite one, but if you haven't seen either one of them, you need to go do that right now. And the way that he plays with aspect ratio is phenomenal. It's really fun. I loved that he brought that back specifically for this movie too. He really honestly put on a solid performance. He knows how to cry on screen. Barry Keoghan was also great as usual. I don't think he has a dull or single bad performance in his filmography. And honestly, the way that the sound in the film worked was really cool. It was really interesting, especially how it complemented the visual style. It kind of reminded me of how Gaspar Noé kind of played with sound and climax, with that juxtaposing the visual style of that film. It was really interesting. So this movie was giving me tones of like climax. It's giving me tones of like Insomnia by Christopher Nolan, like Misery, Stephen King. It's like an amalgamation of all these things, but it's also its own unique kind of story and thing that it's trying to tell. I guess the best way I can go about this is if I start talking spoilers. I'll have to leave some sort of timestamp or something to where the spoilers end, because I'm going to give my grade after the spoiler talk. So the entire movie happens in Abel's head, or at least that's what my main takeaway is from it, and that it is really the result of one really bad night after a culmination of a multitude of things, whether it be his girlfriend leaving him due to terrible things that he said and did towards her, or the constant substance abuse due to the pressure from not only his manager and best friend, but from the societal pressures of needing to be that bigger-than-life thing, this literal godlike figure, and needing to maintain that image. So much so that you push yourself to the point of not taking care of yourself, and you do something that The Weeknd did in real life, which is what a lot of the inciting incident this film is set up and inspired by, is when he loses his voice, or when he lost his voice back in 2022. The entire film really was just him kind of battling his demons within his own head after like a hell of a bender of a night, and that's what it seemed like it was. And honestly, I was all for it. I was expecting something a lot more straightforward, a lot more literal, in the sense of this crazed fan kidnapping him and taking advantage of him and making him come to terms with maybe some of his demons and stuff like that, but not literally him in his own like kind of psychosis via this insomnia and drunken, pill-popping, coke-dazed phase that he's in. Coke-dazed phase. Say that 3 times fast. Like, when Barry Keoghan's character gets killed by Jenna Ortega's character, that didn't happen, right? When Jenna Ortega douses him in fire, douses him in gasoline and is getting ready to burn him, and she ultimately doesn't. That never happened. It's obviously a grander representation of the kind of resolution that he's going through in his mind, and the way that when you're spiraling and you're going through these certain levels of addiction, multitudes of addictions, whether you're addicted to a person or you're addicted to substances or you're addicted to fame and the kind of residuals that you get from people socially for being this kind of figure. By the end, when Jenna Ortega burns the entire like hotel room up, it's almost just like that, like this can't be real. Like this just isn't real, right? So I almost wonder, like I have questions, like is Jenna Ortega, like was her character actually ever there at all? Did they actually meet at the concert? Did they go home? Did they go home? Did they go to the hotel room and just hang out for the evening, and then they just got really fucked up and that's what happened? And then he just kind of, in his insomnia and his drunken fucked up days, whatever you want to call it, he kind of had like a come to Jesus moment, which is what it was, and he was ready by the end of it to literally be set on fire and burned for his sins. And I don't know, it was really compelling to me. Now that we're outside of the spoiler section, there were some really great moments of like tension that they were crafting. There is a sequence that I'm not going to detail what happens in it, but he's in an elevator, something happens in it, and it is genuinely creepy as hell for a solid like 3 minutes. And you're just kind of sitting there in the quiet theater marinating in it, not knowing what's going to happen. But again, this movie is self-indulgent in a filmmaking perspective. Don't think it's self-indulgent in terms of an artist and wanting to just make a film about himself, because this does deconstruct and really open him up to the world in a way that I think we often overlook artists in terms of their music. I mean, obviously they pour their heart and souls into their music, theoretically, but we do definitely take it for what it is, as just something to listen to, and we kind of remove ourselves from the artist and from the person, which, you know, is not a bad thing, because you don't want to obsess and become Annie Wilkes from Misery, of course. I am really interested, though, to see if this movie's going to open the door for other artists to kind of come up and tell their own stories. Like, this is definitely, like, low-key a Weekend kind of biopic, but it's done in the most, like, art house, indie film kind of way possible. Like, this isn't telling the Abel the Weekend this isn't telling the Abel the Weekend Tessaface story. It's really just telling like a specific segment of his life, right? This really big mental crash, which is what started this entire turnaround of him doing the things in his career now. Overall, I'm walking away from this movie very positive. I'm gonna give it a B+. Yeah, maybe a B+. So what? Like an 8 out of 10? 7.5, 8 out of 10. I do want to see it again. And if I do see it again and I genuinely like it enough to kind of want to up the score, I'm definitely going to come back here and update it, whether it's a short or it's in the comment section of this video. Because, I mean, you can just see it on my face. I'm just sitting here thinking about it and honestly wanting to go see it again. Walking out of it initially, I didn't think I liked it as much as I do and as much as I'm realizing I do now. There's definitely problems with it. There's definitely issues with it. It's not a perfect movie. It's probably not going to get any sort of recognition at any sort of awards anywhere. And it will probably be very mixed with the critics as well, but that's okay. I mean, like, what? Do you have to agree with what the critics say every single time? I don't know. I'm just hoping this movie does find its audience. I think eventually, if it doesn't find it now when it's coming out, it's going to get a cult following over time. And that's going to be exciting. Did you guys see Hurry Up Tomorrow? What did you guys think about it? I'm seeing Final Destination Bloodlines tonight, guys. I'm so excited. I need to see some goofy kills. I need my theater to be laughing. I need them to be loud and crazy and having a good time. I'm taking my dad to see his first ever Final Destination movie. So excited. I can't wait to see his reaction to some of the kills, because I mean, they just have to be bonkers, right? Like, it's been over 10 years since the last one. So they got to deliver. Anyway, maybe I'll make a full form content video for that one as well. I don't know, but thanks for sitting here and letting me rant for a little bit on this one. If you guys want me to come back and circle back and, review Sinners, leave a comment and I will. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you guys. I think Stitch wanted to say bye, but yeah, thanks for showing up. Thanks for letting me rant. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.